Schedule the SOP parts, special order parts, jobs back in the shop. What do I mean? Technician had to order a part. The part comes in a week later, and you know what? The unit sits another week before we start working on it again. That just costs you extra days. So again, if you're setting an anticipated arrival date and we're checking with the parts and/or parts has to have a system when those parts come in that somebody knows, not verbally, but on a sheet. So that goes back to my route sheet. You can have a section on your route sheet that parts are in. Now we know we've got to reschedule this back into the shop rather than it sitting out there for another week, or maybe we forget about it and it sits out there for 2 weeks. So you must have a section on there to get your special order parts jobs back in your shop. Parts person, deliver the parts to the tech. That's a no-brainer. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen that often, right? I'll tell you, I have a couple of auto dealers. We're thinking outside the box. I'll just tell you a quick little story, and I'm going to tell you this. Hopefully you can use part of this maybe for your store. Very large Lexus store, 40 technicians. And me and the service director talking one day about how time's wasted in various areas. We put our heads together and we decided that he's going to move all of his parts people out into the shop. So if you have a parts counter person in addition to a parts manager, put his workstation in the shop. Have his computer out there, have his phone out there, have him a little workstation out there. And with him being in the shop, think about it. There's times where parts guys are super busy, Mach 5 with their hair on fire. However, there's times that parts guys aren't busy, right? And when they're not busy, what do? I don't know, a couple different things. Put them in the shop, have about 25% to 33%, a third of their pay based on technician productivity. And if you have a parts person that a portion of his pay is based on your shop's productivity and he's out in the shop, he's going to help, right? If it's a sizable amount of money, he'll help your techs. And that keeps you from taking a tech off of another job to come over and help the tech do this job when he needs a second pair of hands, or he needs somebody to watch something or hold something or monitor something. In that Lexus store, his shop productivity went up 22% by putting his parts people out in the shop, not doing anything any different. You know what else happened? Getting the right part ordered went up even higher. Because think about it. If I'm a tech in the shop and the parts guy's right over here, I'm going to say, hey, Joe, I need this part. Joe walks over, looks at it, and he sees the part himself and then gets it ordered. You run a better chance of getting the right part ordered that way. Rather than if you've got your shop over here, parts department's up here, well, the parts guy rarely comes out and looks at the unit. The tech tells the parts guy what he needs, and that's just one more opportunity to get the wrong part in, right? Update the customer on estimated completion dates. So as you're working on that unit and it's going through getting various jobs done, remember I told you tell the customer I'm going to call you back in X number of days? When you call the customer back on those, update them on completion dates. Why would I want to update them on a completion date? First off, for their idea, so they can better plan around when they're going to be able to pick it up, and that's the ideal thing. If I'm going to reduce cycle time, I got to get these units finished sooner and get them off my lot so I've got room for more units. Utilize some sort of a flat rate time guide. Okay? How would that actually impact cycle time? Anybody got any ideas? How having some sort of a labor time guide might? Well, it's my opinion or my thought that if a technician, when he gets a job, if he knows that that job is going to pay an hour and a half, he's going to do his best to get it done in an hour and a half. However, if he doesn't know that that job pays an hour and a half, how long will it take him? I don't know. It could take all day, right? So every time we assign a technician a job, if it's something that we have established times for, we need to either write that on the RO or give that to the technician verbally so he knows that he's got 4 hours worth of work on this unit and we need it done in those 4 hours or less. Arrange a pickup date. I've talked a little bit about that already. We talked about updating the customer. What I mean by arranging a pickup date is that once the unit's finished, I'm going to call the customer up. Before I get off the phone, I'm going to ask them when do they plan on picking that unit up. It's real simple. Add that one comment to the end of the process. When I call a customer up, tell them the unit's done, I want to review the RO, we did this, this, and this to the unit, it's going to cost you this much money total, blah, 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 anything else. By the way, when do you plan on picking that unit up? And you'll find out. And you know what you're going to hear? Some people, God, they want to get there as soon as they can. Other people, oh, Ken, I'll be in a couple of weeks. Well, maybe that's okay, maybe it's not okay, but at least you know. You have to ask that question. When do you plan on picking it up? And here's the other reason you have to ask it. Maybe your service department's not open on Saturdays, and they plan on picking it up on Saturday. Well, what happens then? They show up on Saturday to get the unit. I didn't know they were coming in Saturday. They see a salesman or somebody up front, and they try to help the customer out. So what do? They come back to service. Well, they can't find a repair order, or find any of the information, so they have no idea. And maybe the customer talks them into giving them the unit, and maybe there's a whole bunch of money owed on it, right? So ask that question. So therefore, if the customer says, oh, Ken, I plan on coming in on this coming Saturday. Okay, great, Mr. Customer. First off, I'm not going to be here this coming Saturday, but no problem. When you come in, here's what you need to do. And tell them. Tell them you need to see Joe. Joe's going to have a repair order. If there's money to be collected, see if you can go ahead and get a credit card now so you don't have to rely on Joe to collect it. Does that make sense to everybody? Before you get off the phone, when you're telling them the unit's done, arrange a pickup date. Ask them.